Greetings, fellow Canadians. In today's episode of Politicians and Cars Getting Votes, we're going to look at our party platform on freedom of expression. The ability to freely express one's ideas and to debate openly in society is a key foundational cornerstone, I guess you'd say, of Western democracy. And something that was very hard fought for and is really only experienced in very few countries in the world. Something that we want to absolutely preserve and protect in Canada, and we see that it's been under attack in many various different ways in our land, and we want to be able to deal with it. I remember years ago, 20, 30 years ago, this whole thing of political correctness came into being. That people were saying, oh, you can't say that, that's not really politically correct. And back then you kind of blew it off, who cares about that? I'm just going to go and speak my mind as I see it anyhow. I don't have to be politically correct. But over the decades, it's kind of, mushroomed into a situation where it's actually very difficult to express your feelings now, and your thoughts on things becomes taboo. And you can have very serious consequences for speaking your mind. If you're on social media, you can go ahead and lose your social media account. You can go ahead and lose your job even, be ostracized. It's a very serious issue, and it's gone into the psyche of people. But it's not just that. That just was a launching pad. It went further and further, and now we're at a point in time where you have laws that are enacted curtailing our freedom of speech. You got Bill C-16 and M-103. These bills, don't allow for public debate really on these subjects. As soon as you go and talk about things, then it comes down on you. And what's gone on now is you have this issue of, they call it hate, like if you're going to be expressing things that people don't like, they call it hateful. And so now you got to cater to what other people think, otherwise you're creating hate speech. It's such a broad, generic type of platform they have now on that topic. And with the People's Party in Canada, we are going to clearly define what hate speech is. Hate speech is when you go ahead and you verbally try to incite violence or harm against another group of people, whatever it may be. Now, if you just disagree with another group of people and have a different viewpoint, you're totally free to express it under the People's Party in Canada. We declare that political correctness is dead, and we want to unshackle you from these confines. Now, the thing is that when people freely express how they feel, it may offend people. So we can't go and curtail other people's free speech because other people might be offended. It has to be open and able to be discussed, any kind of issue. Now, one of the things, like our party platform is maximum individual freedom, and we totally believe that and want that for you. But when you have more freedom, you have also a responsibility, not only to yourself but to others. So, while you are free to express, diverging opinion to someone else, it really helps the dialogue if you can be respectful and fair, and treat other people with respect. This goes a long ways to creating cohesion within our country. So, we want to be able to offer that to you. No one else is talking about it. If you vote for the Conservatives, just go and look what has happened recently with Michael Cooper. He was a St. Albert MP. He was talking at the Justice Committee. He kind of rebutted a kind of Muslim activist there who was talking about the Conservatives inciting violence online and shooting up mosques type of thing. And then Michael Cooper mentioned that in New Zealand with the Christchurch shooting, that the shooter himself actually was more in line with the policies of China and didn't like conservatives. So it wasn't a conservative issue at all. And when he spoke that out, and a couple other things that basically He thought it was disgraceful that the other activists had mentioned it like that, lumping in conservatives on that. It caused a big stink. So he really didn't say anything wrong. He said things that should and can be said. But what happened was the conservatives, they took him off of that Justice Committee, and they forced him to retract and apologize. Then the Liberals and the NDP, they wanted his record of what he said to be expunged, to be totally, like a book burning type thing. So his comments were taken out of the record, and also the recording of him was deleted as well. And the conservatives, they sat on their hands. They didn't raise a voice or anything to that. They went right along with it. So if you want freedom of speech in Canada, you're not going to get it with the conservatives. They censor their MPs and what they can say and talk about, and they've allowed all this political correctness and this nonsense to continue on all these years. Another issue that's really happening, and all things kind of lead back to the UN nowadays with all the crazy stuff that we see. They are going hard talking about hate in language and speech, and they're going to go after that pretty hard and promote that. And it sounds good on the surface, but really when you take a good look at it, what they're doing is people with diverging opinions on sensitive topics, their expression would be deemed hateful and would suffer the consequences under the UN agendas. So they're also possibly being funded by special groups in the background. You've got hate.ca website where they're going after people whose language they don't like. We want to be able to bring Canada back to the way it used to be, where you can freely speak and let the chips fall where they may. And people will be cordial and polite. Canadians generally are, and we got along all these years before all of this clampdown on free speech. We're fast heading into a communist style of system here in Canada with the libcons. They've allowed this to happen and have promoted it. And so there's only one choice now. It's the People's Party of Canada. If you value your Western democracy and free speech, we need your help. Please support us. We need volunteers to help us do the various different things in our local ridings, and we need your financial support. So please help us. This is the most important election of our lifetime, if not Canada's. So vote PPC 2019, and we will be able to save our nation from this craziness that's gone on. All right, thanks a lot.